A living legend and a massive, so live, you create a player. I mean, you the reason that I'm getting paper. You the that should carry some toilet paper. Yo, yo, yo. What's up, everybody? Good evening and welcome to the first episode of the Go See, Chicago's newest internet radio show. I am your humble host, international fashion show producer, and model coach, Blake Martin, and I am so excited to introduce my co host. This woman is a legend in the Chicago modeling scene, and I am honored to have her as my partner in crime. I would attempt to run down her resume, but I know I'm going to mess it up. So, first, give a round of applause for my co host, Brianne Pearson. We are so excited to have you, Bree. Why don't you bless our listeners and tell them a little bit about yourself?
Well, yes. First of all, let me say thank you guys for having me. I am Brianne Pearson, also Slaymaster Bree on
Master.
Instagram. No underscores, no spaces, okay? Just Slaymaster Bree. I have walked in New York Fashion Week for 4 years in a row. We're going to go on five now, so let's cross our fingers. I've walked for Nike, Timberland, Puma, signed with West Haven Smart Models.
Legend. Legend.
I've
Legend.
been on VH1 channel for extreme water parks, like crazy things like this. I was also Miss Bikini Chicago, Miss Bikini Illinois, and Miss Bikini USA. 2018 through 2019. And yeah, that's just a little sprinkle of me. And
See, I told you guys she was a legend in these streets. Well, welcome, Bree. I'm excited to have you.
Thank
And I
you.
think this is going to be a lot of fun. I created the Go See as a platform just to discuss situations, problems, issues that we encounter in the entertainment and fashion industry, and to create a space where we can motivate, encourage, but most of all, educate, fun, humor, and with me at least, uncomfortably honest dialogue. I wanted this to be a place where you come ask all of your questions, get all of your answers, right? So for our first show, I thought it would only be fitting if we discuss something that Brie and I is not are not only passionate about, but are knowledgeable about, and that is the entertainment and modeling industry.
Yes.
And most of all, today I want to focus on the do's and the don'ts of the business. And I'm super excited because we have an amazing guest today, supermodel Broderick Hunter, and he's gonna break down so many aspects of the business. But to lead into this, Bree, I want to start off asking you, being a signed model
Yeah.
and working as a model all over the world, what are some of the most common mistakes you see models, specifically in Chicago, make on a regular basis?
I would say first and foremost, the professionalism. Like, there's no professionalism in Chicago. When you email a producer, a photographer, a designer, whoever you're going to email to try to establish a connection, a build, a network, some type of bond, some type of bond. You cannot email them and send them a selfie of you and say, "Hey, I want a model, so I'm from Chicago and I walked I walked for one person, so when we're going to work." You have to have some type of professionalism. You have to have some model stats. You have to have been able to do photo shoots with other photographers. You have to have some experience under your belt. You just can't wake up one day and say that you want to model.
Now, Bree,
Don't DM.
I know what a lot of people are going to say. They could agree with you, but they're going to argue
Mhm.
that until someone gives them the chance, how are they going to gain that knowledge, gain that experience, and learn how to be a professional? So, in
I,
your opinion, how do they get that without? Because I know me, and I know I can be a little bit harsh, right?
mhm.
And so my stance is when you go and you're 18 and you want to work at Chase Bank and you have to email your resume and fill out the job application, no one is teaching you how to be professional. You
Mhm.
either have it or you don't, and if
Exactly.
you don't get the job. But typically, talent feels, how am I going to be professional, learn the business, and get the experience if no one's giving me the shot? What do you say to that?
That's true. I would say to do your research. When I first started, no one was helping me either. I just I just knew that I wanted to do this. I knew I had the skill, but I did a lot of research. I looked up different agencies, how to go to a go see. So let's just say let's prepare. I'm going to a go see in New York. I need to have my comp card. If I don't have a portfolio, I need to at least have a comp card. A lot of models say, okay, I want to cast for this show, I want to do this, and they don't have anything to give. You have to have a comp card. You can work on your portfolio. You have to have a resume. You have to have your model stats. You have to be able to give them something to start with, to go off of. They want to know, will this model fit the clothes? Will this model fit the look that I'm looking for? Is this, someone I'm looking for? If you sign with an agency, they're going to shop your comp card. They're not going to shop you like, oh, well, look at her Instagram. Go and see her. She's pretty dope. No, they're going to shop your comp card. They're going to say, I'm looking for, let's say, a curly haired freckled woman, and they're going to give 6 comp cards in front of that client and say, okay, I have these girls that fit what you're looking for. Which one do you like? If they don't like you, then they don't like you. If you don't have a comp card, they can't shop you.
So when you say that models should be having professionalism in the business, give me an example of what you feel professionalism has given you the upper hand, and give me an example of where you see unprofessionalism has either hindered you or a model that you saw.
Okay, so I'll start with the unprofessionalism, because I've seen this and I've also done this. Like, I'm not a perfect person. When I started, I was not perfect. I didn't know. So I would be the girl who would send a selfie like, I was fine in this picture. So I know they want to see this one. So I'm going to send them all of my info, and I'm going to send them this fine little selfie that I just took. And no, no, you're not. Don't do that. So also, with having the information that you need, I would say, for example, for me, when I go to New York, I make sure that I have my portfolio, my typed out resume, my list of shows I'm going to do, my list of go-sees I'm going to do, my shoots that I'm going to do. You have to be prepared all the way. So, that's what I say. So, unprofessionally, I would say, in Chicago, most people send selfies, they DM, they don't come appropriately. And then if you're prepared, then for me at least, I come with comp cards, resumes, experience.
Got it. Okay, well, so far this conversation has been extremely insightful, but I think it's time we get an expert on the line to really help us break down some of these questions. So we're going to take a quick break while we get Broderick Hunter, the male supermodel of the world, on the phone. While we do that, here's a few musical interludes for you. We'll be right back. You're listening to The Go See on Intellectual Radio.
Blame it on my exes. They the ones who mess me up. Because of them, it's hard for us. And I don't think you deserve it. Blame it on my exes. Because of them, I hate you. I be lying, I be cheating, I be doing everything they did. It's not my fault that I can't love, that I can't trust, that I can't be the one you need. Cause I'm not loyal and I'm not safe. It's not my fault that I can't make you my husband. Even though you deserve it and you're worth it, baby. It's kinda hard for me to love you the way you need to feel love. For me to love you the way you need to be loved. I don't know how to treat nobody. I don't know how to love nobody. I don't know how to need you. Don't know how to treat nobody. Oh, baby, I don't want to leave you on. Maybe, yeah, I'm the one that's probably gonna do you wrong. I should have met you first before I got scarred, cause they done made it worse, they played with my heart. Now middle fingers to all the people who made me like that. It's not my fault that I can't love, that I can't trust, that I can't be the one you need, cause I'm not loyal and I'm not safe. It's not my fault that I can't make you my husband, even though you deserve it. I ain't worth it, baby.
All right. We are back, everybody. We hope you enjoyed that musical interlude to get you in the mood for this evening. Now I want to jump right in because I am super excited about our first guest, Broderick Hunter. I'm pretty sure that every person living is familiar with Broderick, but for the two of you in the world that don't know him, let me break down his resume a bit. Broderick started off his modeling career in 2011 at the age of 20 after being asked to become a model for a photo shoot. And since he has starred in editorials for Cosmo, Maxim, Essence, Vogue, Italian GQ, on and on and on. Publications such as Business Insider, People, and Harper's Bazaar have featured him on their list of sexiest men on Instagram. Additionally, he has been the face of Ralph Lauren, Sean John, many more. Many of you probably first became familiar with Broderick as the sexy leading man in Sierra's music video for Sorry. You guys know him as all of that, but to me, that is just my brother. Broderick, either way, give a round of applause for our special guest, Broderick Hunter, everybody.
Hey, woo!
What an introduction, man. Thank you.
Yeah, we're super excited to have a model of your stature and caliber on the line with us.
Absolutely. So, hey, Broderick, how are you? Thank you for joining us.
Good.
We really appreciate it.
Wouldn't have missed it for the world, man.
Yeah. All right, cool. So before we jump in, do you have any new projects or exciting things that you want to tell us about that are coming up or you're working on?
Man, I'm grateful to God to say that I'm literally overwhelmed with the stuff that's coming out in the new years. I've got a few movies coming out, and then along with more modeling projects. One of the movies is Influence, directed by Trey Haley and written by Carl Weber. It's going to BT Plus. I star in that, and then I also star in a new movie with Robert Richard called California Love that's set to release either later this year or early next year. I'm not sure yet.
Nice.
And then also I have one called They Come, They Go, and the other one called Somewhere in the Gray, and they're both up for many awards. I'm up for Best Leading Actor in both of those, and then also best picture. So those are hitting the festivals pretty hard, and I'm excited for those. So yeah, and then on the modeling aspect, I'm kind of just it's kind of interesting. I've really kind of more so stepped into the aspect of more public speaking and brand brandship, and basically more on the endorsement side of these brands, not necessarily shooting for them as much. So it's been kind of interesting to see that side of my career take a shift. So yeah, it's been a lot those things, but a lot of great stuff is up for 2020. So I'm excited.
That's his way of telling y'all I am dope,
right?
And you should know me. That's his way. Well, I want to jump right in because we have a lot of important things we want to ask you. So as I stated earlier, you've been in the industry since 2011. And we are now in a completely different decade, and so much has changed. So what are some of the core differences within the modeling industry now versus when you began?
Man, okay, I don't even know where to begin with that. I would say back when I first started, doing photo shoots and everything had really made a huge difference to get like your stuff out there. You want to work with the right photographers. You wanted to kind of find markets of where you want to be in. The prerequisites to be able to get signed were a lot harder as well. A lot of main things that have changed is just basically Black is female. You know, we have a lot of Black models on the runway, and there's a lot of I'm seeing a lot more Black faces in editorials, magazines, campaigns. It's so good to see. Now, when I started, way back, not way back, but early 2010s, 2010s, there was only 2 or 3 Black models signed to a board, and I was getting told no left and right just because of the fact they already had a dark skinned fellow on their on the agency board, or the fact that they just weren't looking for dark skinned people, and dark skinned wasn't. So I would say that it's really, really a great time to be Black. in the industry.
Love that.
Compared to what it is right now. And then also just just seeing how different it is, how people are treated, and how people are being able to have a voice. You know, back when I started, you weren't able to talk about much.
Right.
You know, now with the help of social media, you're able to actually have a voice. You know, state your opinions, and it'll be okay. So yeah, those are the main things I've kind of really seen the difference in the industry compared to back then to where it is now.
Love that.
Yeah. Okay, so piggybacking off of that question, I would say when you're getting signed, what are some of the things that you would say that an aspiring model who is about to get signed should look for? Like before they even touch the pen to the paper, what should they be asking? What questions should they ask?
The main questions, I feel like if you're getting signed right now, ask where they see you, because sometimes where your agency sees you and where you see yourself is going to be completely different. I think that it's very important to have a sense of direction and to know exactly where you want to be a fit in your career. There's many times agencies would like, okay, let's say you really want to see yourself in like, you know, Target or Neiman Marcus, but they're pitching you, for all due respect, things like, you know, these discount or you know, Walmart stuff, or things that are not really a fit for your brand. So I feel like if you know exactly what you want to do or things that you want to go, you have to articulate that and tell that to your agency prior to doing anything, because once you sign that dotted line, you're basically locked in for whatever that term length is. Could be 2 years, 3 years, 1 year, whatever. You want to make sure your team is on the same page as you.
Yeah. Make sure you read that too.
Yeah, make sure you're reading it.
Make sure you read that.
You know, and don't let the agency charge you anything more than 20%.
Right.
If they're doing anything more than 20% for you, commission, then that's a no-go. Edit that out. Make sure it's just nothing more than 20%. If it's a manager, it's 10%. But yeah, those knowing those certain things in terms of money-wise is very important. But I can go on for days about what to look for, but I think that's just the primary thing.
Okay. So I think those are some great tips in terms of getting signed. But for our aspiring models that I listen, I want to back it up a little bit before you get to the being signed. Now, Broderick has been to Chicago several times and assisted me with models that I train, manage, etc. And one of the main pain points for them is typically money. Now, they feel that whenever they do a job, they should be paid for it, and I don't disagree. However, from my experience in the business, I'm also a preacher that you have to invest before you get paid. So in my thought process, it's impossible to request payment for a job with no portfolio, no comp cards, no representation. And I could be wrong, but models don't have these things, but then come into every job saying, where's my check? How much am I getting paid? What are your thoughts on this?
Well, there's two sides to that. You know, sometimes it's really just about your time or what you're doing. Sometimes it comes down to the usage. If you are just starting out and you are in the beginning stages, most of the time you do things for the exposure to build your book or to kind of get your name out there. But that doesn't necessarily warrant you from not being allowed to get paid. It is very prominent that you should get paid. And you should ask what the rate is prior to even doing a job. If a brand or a client or whatever approaches me or my agency and they say, hey, we're doing this, X, Y, and Z, the next thing will be, okay, well, what is it being used for? You know, is it for print or is it online? What's the usage? They can send use. Okay. Then you go into like, okay, what's the rate? What's the compensation? How much you get paid for this? And if they say, well, actually, this is kind of like independent thing where it's no rate, it's up to the talent to decide to decipher whether or not they want to do that job.
Right.
Now, if on the other hand, it is something where it's like, okay, well, our budget for this job is $100, $1,000, $100,000, whatever. Again, it's up to the talent, the model, to decipher if that is something that is good for them. Because a lot of times, even in my career today, you know, sometimes the job would be crazy usage, crazy exposure, but the money wouldn't be right.
Right.
And I'd be like, okay, well, I know that I built my name and my career to a certain amount of certain stature. I know I deserve X amount of dollars.
Right.
But on the other hand, there's certain things where times where the money was absolute shit, but the opportunity was great. And I'll be like, you know what? This is a great opportunity, and it's something that I could use for my career for leverage. Nobody's gonna know whether I got paid $1 or $100,000. So I'll leave that up to me to, decide if I want to do it. So there's two sides to it, but just because you're just starting out does not necessarily exclude you from getting paid or seeking compensation. But it does necessarily mean that you should be humble and understand that just because you're starting out or you just had a few photo shoots doesn't necessarily warrant you from getting an outrageous rate. I would say just go about the job or go about your options in a way that helps you develop and expand your career.
And that's a great statement that you made, and it made me think of a few situations. So I guess my secondary question to that, if you are a model and you're freshly starting out, you know that a job, for example, a runway show is going to give you great exposure and bring you a bigger opportunity. Is it professional? You do it for free. Is it professional to then get in the show, realize how much work is involved or what you have to wear, or so on and so forth, and then backtrack and then ask for pay? Or do you believe once you've agreed to do it at no rate, you're in and that's it?
The only time that should warrant an extra pay is if obviously it's
if we hire Broderick for an underwear fashion show and there is no rate, and it's an underwear fashion show, but you show up and we're like, hey, here's the thong, and you say, well, I knew I was wearing underwear, but maybe not that type of underwear. If I'm wearing that, now you got to pay me. But you agreed to do an underwear fashion show, which is all encompassing. Can you backtrack and say, now I need money?
Not necessarily, no. It obviously depends who you are, but I don't think that it warrants you to ask for money if you knew what you were going into prior to it. If I sign and say, hey, if Blake Martin says, hey, this is an underwear fashion show, and I pull, and that's why I always say ask questions before anything. Like if I see everything that I'm probably going to be wearing and I agree to all of that, then whatever comes from that is going to be what it is. Now, if I'm blindsided and it's just like, okay, but wearing briefs and a thong is two completely different types of things. Right. It's still classified as underwear, but that type of that type of garment is kind of sensitive in the industry. So, but if I knew that it was going to be that before, I can't warrant and ask for compensation, midway or mid-show and stuff like that, because
I guess you can help me grow as a producer there, because I'm in the vein of, if I book you, and we'll stay in the same example, if I book you for an underwear show, be prepared to wear any type of underwear. But from your statement, I also feel like you're saying perhaps, I should be giving all the details of the types, prior to. And from my perspective, it's difficult because when you're booking designers, sometimes you don't know what the designer is showing up with until an hour before the show. So it's impossible for me to prep you or warn you before you're about to walk on the runway.
But at the same time, you are a model. A model, if you really want to know, is kind of like a walking hanger. If you sign up for this show, you said that you want to be here, then you put on what this designer said, put on, you wear it, and that's a model's job. You don't say, oh, I don't like that. It's not really that cute, so I don't really want to wear that one.
The thing about that is, regarding shows, the top tier shows, whether you go to Milan, Paris, New York, there's usually a fitting before the show. Right. A fitting is basically you're seeing exactly what you're wearing, exactly what you're doing. There might be maybe a shoe or a shoestring adjustment, but most of the time when it comes down to shows, exactly what you're going to be wearing.
Right.
I've very rarely seen times where your look might switch up, but the one time my look did switch up during a show was when I got replaced by a white boy from Versace. That was the only time that something like that switched.
Okay.
In literally same day mid thing. But normally you will know exactly what you have to wear with the fitting. So I would say to probably adjust outside or after that, you should have fittings where the models know exactly what they're being put in. That way prior to, if they're comfortable or not. Now they can't just show up to somewhere not knowing what they're going to be putting on, even though it states that, hey, this is going to be an underwear show.
Right. Okay.
Right.
That's fair.
Okay, so I guess I have a question that would kind of, again, piggyback on that. I guess I'm a piggybacker today. So as far as nudity, models think that in this day and age that they have to be nude or they have to do implied to be successful. Like, what is your opinion, or like, how do you feel about that?
And in contrast, before you answer, I want to say that many models are also told that implied nude images or risque underwear images aren't real modeling, or nude images will hurt your career. So what are your thoughts on those?
Wow. Well, it depends on if it's tasteful. Now, I would say that I've done implied nudity in my early career, and I enjoyed it because it was something new for me to explore. It was a way for me to get more comfortable in my body. But these were with top tier photographers who have shot people like Beyonce. People have shot people like Grace Jones, David Bowie. The list goes on. I wasn't shooting with these people who just randomly got a camera at Target for $3.99, and then all of a sudden said, "Hey, I'm trying to take some naked photos." Yeah, I would say pick and choose who you do shoot that type of content with, and make sure that they're professional and comfortable to be doing all that. Now, does shooting nudity, the shooting nudity warrant you from not becoming a supermodel or becoming a successful model? No, it does not. It does not exclude you from that, because a lot of the greats, Naomi Campbell, Tyson Beckford, Iman, you name it, they've all have done implied nudity shoots, and even artists, actors as well. They've all, athletes, the list goes on. Yeah. Those types of things are okay, but it depends on how it's done. You don't want to make it. You have to shoot that with somebody who is tasteful and has an eye and who has done it before and has done it successfully. You don't want to just do it with any old random person, as I said, who just is a local person and nobody knows and is just trying to get their name out there. And next thing you know, you got your body out on the internet just because, it's a slippery slope. So I would say it's okay. It's perfectly okay to do that kind of stuff as long as you're going about it smart and intelligently.
Well, I have a question on that. This podcast is typically to help and inspire and encourage models, but something that you said just kind of resonated with me, and I want to grow and learn as well. So one of the things that I find myself in is that when I'm working with photographers on different projects, I shoot nude images with models often. And one of the problems that I run into is leading up to the shoot, I'm very detailed in emails. We're having the conversation about if you're comfortable, this is what it's going to be. We're good to go. Day of shoot goes great. I make sure you're comfortable throughout the shoot, and the images come out amazing. A week later, you get the images. I show you the preview of the images. Your wife spazzes out, and now you're like, you can't use the images. But I've wasted so much time and energy, creating this content. But now your boyfriend is upset at me, and I have to make the decision whether to not use the content and waste the money, or use the content and have a model feel that now I am disrespectful. What is your opinion in that situation?
Unfortunately, I would have to say, being in relationships in this industry it has been extremely difficult. And oftentimes your partner isn't going to agree with everything that you have to do or what your job entitles you to do. Like same with acting as well. You might have a whole wife at home. Guess what? You got to play a whole relationship on scene. The director isn't going to say like, "Oh, well, I know your wife's upset about you kissing this woman on screen, but we have to shoot a movie." The director is going to have to release the movie as it is. It's a personal problem. Okay. Unfortunately, that's just what that is. And I feel like if it is something that they agreed to, and if it is something that they chose to do prior to, and they just didn't become happy with it, I feel like that's something that they should have to reconsider and take up at home. The producer, the photographer, or the director, unfortunately, has their hands tied with the project that they chose this talent for, in terms of making them feel comfortable. The show can't stop over one person, unfortunately. Yeah. So I would say, for the talent wise, I feel like be very considerate if you are in a relationship or you are married seeing somebody talking to somebody, fucking or whatever, make it very known and have an understanding before doing anything, letting them know what it is, what it entails. I'm currently in a relationship right now, and I've shot a few short films where I had to let my partner know, like, hey, this is this type of film, and this is what we're going to be doing. I'm interested in it, but let me know your thoughts. And if she's over here, you know, going up against the wall saying, nah, guess what? I have a decision to make. I can either continue doing the project or I can back out. That's my decision.
Yeah, so and that's for movies.
I say you have to just pre-prep your partner through whatever you're going to do in this business prior to, and don't leave them in the dark, because then you'll end up having those exact problems that you guys mentioned.
I have a quick follow-up to that. As a male model, I've seen a lot of your work, and you have a wide range of content and material. So what advice would you give to heterosexual male models like yourself who are asked to wear garments, participate in shows, and they feel either the color is feminine or the outfit is too tight or whatever, and they're having this fight of insecurity in their self because of my mother, my brothers, my friends? How are they going to respond? What is your biggest advice to ease themselves?
I just gave you guys the biggest eye roll of the century. I'm so tired of I'm so tired of hearing like, oh, this is feminine, da-da-da. Guess what? You know what my main go-to in my closet? I have so much floral in so many colors. I got so many like flamboyant. Look, if you're a brother and you're heterosexual, guess what? Yellows, pinks, oranges, mustard yellow, all that makes your skin pop. Women love that.
We sure do.
We love fashion. So many great compliments off of wearing color. Now, if you stick to black and white, you know, that's you. But if you really want to get some, you know, get some real compliments, put on some color. I don't think that guys as heterosexuals, I feel like there's still the toxic masculinity that's happening where guys think that putting on floral stuff or putting on color makes you feminine. I have if you go to my profile right now, with a flower crown on, and I'm holding a flower, and guess what? My DMs were flooded with women saying, "Oh my God, I love this." Nobody likes an overly masculine heterosexual. So I would say my advice is to cut the bullshit, cut the crap, understand that there is nothing in this day and age that is quote unquote feminine. Now, if you want to go off and put on a skirt and have a crop top, then and identify with yourself however you wish, then that's on you. But those I feel like those days are kind of numbered where guys are looking at other guys or women are looking at guys saying, "Oh, you look a little da-da-da." Well, guess what? Maybe he might be bi. Maybe he might be gay. It does not matter.
Skirts in Scotland are regular, okay? Skirts in Scotland for men are regular, right?
Seriously. So I don't think
models don't be afraid to bring your own release form. If you feel uncomfortable, if you don't know what you're getting yourself into, which 99% of the time you do. You know what you're casting for, you know what the show is, you know what you're about to do.
Yes.
But if you don't be afraid to bring your own release form that says what you will do, what you won't do, what you're down with, what you're not down with, and sign that, and then you work on. You know, don't be afraid.
I love that.
Exactly.
So that was some great information from Broderick, and we have a few questions from Instagram that we definitely want to get to. So Alexander T82 on Instagram has asked Broderick, how do you know when it's time to transition from "I'm new, I'll take anything" to "I'm skilled and I am picky"?
So how do you know that? Well, the type of projects the caliber of products that you do kind of changes. People start to kind of understand that you have a certain level of reputation, that you're kind of becoming a little more known. Therefore, your bill is a little bit higher. Just like, you know, if you're working as a doctor or if you're working as a lawyer, you know, your retainer fee goes up. Just like if you want to work with a certain plastic surgeon or something, that fee for that person that everybody knows that surgeon's done Kim Kardashian or whoever, then their fee is warranted to go up. So you start to kind of know when it's time to kind of up your your status a little bit, depending upon who you've been working with and your status of being and your status of demand. So you'll start to get these requests where you have to turn down a few jobs or choose an opportunity because you're kind of overly in request now, and everybody kind of wants you. So you got to kind of adjust a little bit. So yeah, that's kind of how you know your demand changes and your reputation changes. So when you start to see those changes, that's when you'll kind of know.
You don't do either one of these with an attitude, Chicago models.
Please.
Either one of these, you do not do with an attitude. You know me now.
So
you need to be paying me.
Oh God, I'm not saying be cognizant, but you have to. They have to understand that they just have to understand that even though that they're in demand or doing certain things and people know them, it's still, you have to know that does not mean you could be an asshole, and that does not mean like you could walk up with your mink coat and some $200 Gucci glasses that you got from TJ Maxx. It does not mean that. You still have to be professional.
Yeah. Right. So Alina Super Jew on Instagram has asked, what signals to you that a shoot or show is unprofessional or shady? Now that's her question, and I'm going to kind of piggyback off of it in two different ways. So, Broderick, what I find here in Chicago is that models will participate in a runway show, leave the runway show, and have a horrible experience. The show was unprofessional. It didn't start on time. The clothes weren't ready. And they rant about how bad the show is. However, will go back to the same show over and over again because they feel like I would rather be in something than nothing. The other piece to that is, and I'm thinking she's asking what signals to a shoot is or a show is unprofessional or shady. It's difficult for me, I'll be honest, as a gay male in the industry here in Chicago, because so many other gay male producers, photographers, stylists, book models show up and then they're unprofessional. The models show up for a fashion gig and midway through, the photographer is asking the model to get nude, or they come on to them. And so in turn, models come to me thinking that the same thing is going to happen. So what advice would you give to people for, one, noticing if a show or a shoot is unprofessional? And if it is, do you suggest they keep going back for a different experience, or should they bow out?
Okay, so there was a lot that was said there.
Yeah.
All right, so basically, what do you do when you're in an unprofessional environment or setting?
Yes.
Okay.
Or how do you notice it?
Oh, okay. Well, the thing about it is when you get to a certain, like, if you're new and this is your first show, you're gonna think like, okay, well, this is how stuff goes. Until you go to a show that does it completely different. So it just that kind of just goes in line with your experience as a model and what kind of stuff you've been doing. I think the way to identify if a show or a shoot is unprofessional based upon the organization of it. How is the place that you're shooting it? Is it clean? I mean, I've shot in an apartment complex before, but guess what? The apartment didn't have clothes and random stuff lying around. It was still a clean setting. It looked like it was still classy. And even on production sets, you're gonna, you might shoot in the studio, but if the set looks cheap, like let's say there's no water, like no snacks or anything, or there's, you have to go get dressed outside. There's certain requirements from the production or the people who are running the show or shoot that they should take heed to let the models feel comfortable. Yeah. Most of the time, I've seen that people call certain things unprofessional by the way somebody talks to them, or just the way the production is going. Let's say you're supposed to start at 8:00 and you'll start till 11. That's kind of egregious. I can understand if the call time, if now the call time is 3:00 and the show starts at 5 or 6, that's reasonable because that's usually how stuff goes. That's how it is in New York and all that. But when time frame starts to get a little miscombobulated, you can identify it like that. And then even if there's a lack of being in sync, in shows, if you have to do a change or something like that, If it's kind of like, okay, it's looking a little cattywampus backstage, and you got people taking turns going in and out the bathroom or however you got to get changed, then that's a way of identifying. So again, it just really comes down to experience. When you do good shows or have good productions, you're going to feel good about it and you're going to want to do more of those. Then when you have a bad one, you're going to identify like, okay, this is one of those, and you'll kind of adjust from there.
Now, would you suggest really having those bad experiences and giving that photographer, that shoot a second chance?
If I had a bad experience once, I'm going to be like, okay, well, that might have just been a fluke. If I come back twice and the same thing happens, then I'm not coming back a third time. And this is me talking from my early career. This is just me talking from just back when I was just starting out. Like, there was certain people who would reach back out after me having a bad experience, and I like, okay, I'm prone for giving people second chances, and I'm prone for doing like things twice. But if it's the same thing more than twice to me, then I'm definitely not going to come back that third time. So I would say I have a 2-out rule. 2 times I'm out.
Well, don't you think that if you're going to a shoot or if you're prepping a shoot, you should have a treatment before you even get there? You should know what's happening before you get there. If you have no treatment, what's happening? You don't even know what's happening in your shoot. You don't know what's there for you. You don't know what you're requesting. You don't know where it's going. Where's your treatment?
Yeah, I totally agree. But that also, it's a two-way street. That also comes down to whoever's running the show or the shoot, and they have to have, whatever that shot list together. They have to have the, pre-acknowledge the talent of what's being done prior to. Same thing with the show. That's why you have a fitting. That's why you have a run through. That's why you have, that's why you have rehearsals. There's nobody just comes up and shows up and just, okay, let's get this thing going. Right. There's a prep before that. So when you do the prep process and you see how the prep process goes, and then it's showtime. Hopefully the show goes as smooth as when you guys are doing the prep process. You do the walkthrough, then okay, now we're going to go out 75. Okay, now this is like official show, music, timing, placement, whatever, what's going to happen. Yeah. So if the show goes about it like that, then so be it. But if it doesn't, then hey, that's just show business, I guess.
Well, Broderick has given us a lot of information so far, and he's not going anywhere. We're going to come back with a rapid fire game for Broderick. Right now, we're going to take a quick break and play some bills. Right. We'll be right back. You're listening to The Ghosty on Intellectual Radio.
Hey.
Come on. Yeah. I see you, baby. Get your shine on. Get your glow up. One time for the babies on the south side, the east side, the west side, the north side. Chi-town. Hey, There's a song in your song. It can flow from short to long. In your song, you are the story. Getting past your past, struggling with your past. It'll pass. It'll pass. Hey there, over there, you're torn from where and there. It'll bear. You'll get there. I know what I know. I suffered more than you know. Yet I can roll in the cold, in the cold. There's always something inside you. It makes you beautiful, makes you beautiful, and makes you. It's the sun that makes the flowers grow. Makes the flowers grow. It's the spiritual with you that's meant to grow.
inside of you. Something inside of you. It makes you beautiful, makes you. Yeah. There's something that makes the flowers grow.
All right, everybody, you are back listening to the Go See on Intellectual Radio. I am your host, Blake Martin, with my co-host, Breanne Pearson, and our special guest today is Broderick Hunter. Now, each week with our special guest, we're going to have a little game that we like to call Rapid Fire, so we can get to know our guest a little bit better with some embarrassing questions. Bree, take it away.
All right. So before we let you go, Broderick, we have a little game for you, and we like to call it Rapid Fire. All right. So you have 5 seconds to answer each one of these questions. So, okay. Question number 1: do you love and hip hop or Real Housewives of Atlanta?
Love and hip hop.
Period. Okay. Name one celebrity who has ever slid into your DMs.
Oh, man, I can't say that. I'm going to skip.
He's calling a skip. But wait, a skip means there has been.
Right? A skip means multiple. Okay. What is the most embarrassing song in your playlist right now?
Oh, snap. Dang it. I say Bruno Mars, I think I Want to Marry You.
Yes. That's not embarrassing.
That's not even embarrassing.
I love that song.
It's embarrassing to me. I feel like such a little, okay.
It's corny, but we all have corny.
Check your Instagram. You just got 100,000 more followers just off that, okay? You're headed to a modeling gig, and you can only put on one of these items before you leave. Which one is it? Underwear, mouthwash, or moisturizer?
Moisturizer all day.
Yeah, can't be ashy, right?
I can walk outside butt naked and my skin will be fine, though.
All right.
I hate that.
All right. Okay, ladies, you heard that one. All right. Yeah. So what is your biggest pet peeve?
Biggest pet peeve is abusing my time.
Yeah, same. Okay. And your biggest turn on would be?
Legs.
Oh, ladies, keep them together.
Models,
keep them together.
Get it together.
Hey,
all right.
Legs.
Now, do you prefer New York or LA?
LA.
Okay, all right. And can I ask you why real quick? Why LA?
I'm born and raised here. I lived in New York for 4 years, and I had the New York experience. Now, I only enjoy New York in the summertime, like between, late May into like August and the fall. Man, New York is lit, but I think you can enjoy LA all year round.
Right. I agree. All right. So boxers brief or commando?
Man, I am a brief person.
Okay.
I would have never guessed that.
I would never guess that either. I was gonna say boxers or commando, actually.
Nah, I like boxer brief, but I can't do regular boxers. Boxers like
too much freedom.
I like brief.
Broderick feels like a commando type of guy.
Too much free space. Yeah, I commando. Yeah, I definitely
thought it was gonna be commando.
I'll let the boys breathe. Nah, that doesn't come from
All right, my last question for you. So, if there are any, what is your favorite fatty food?
And I know it. I know the answer.
Where's the favorite fatty food?
Yeah.
What is your favorite fatty food?
Oh, damn. Shit. Okay. Man, we got French toast.
I was gonna say it's French toast.
Yo,
I know him well.
You do French toast. We got lasagna. I don't know if that's a fatty food, but it's carbs.
It's a fatty food. Yeah.
Pizza, pasta, anything. It's basically anything Italian and Mexican food. Oh my God. Huevos rancheros. I'm good for a wet burrito.
That makes so much sense.
Especially LA. Oh my gosh.
No, every time we hang out, it's always Mexican.
Yep.
Every time.
LA,
and I'm like, if I eat one more taco.
I swear to God. LA out here, you got the street.
I was gonna say that's the West Coast. I'm from Las Vegas, and we have like the best Mexican food on the West Coast.
Well, brother, it was such a pleasure having you on today's show. We appreciate you so much.
Man, thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate your time, and to all the models out there that have requested, the questions and stuff like that. Keep going. Much success and love to your career. The opportunities are limitless out here. There's so much more to come for you guys, and just keep going and just, stay focused on it. It'll happen for you.
Now, everybody, make sure you follow Broderick on Instagram at Broderick Hunter. All Chicago models, go ahead and spam his page. Tell him you want to get him here to Chicago so we can do this in person. We'll see what we can make happen, Broderick. Thank you so much for your time, brother. I love you.
Thank you. We appreciate you.
Love you guys.
God bless, bro.
Have a great one.
You too.
Yes, have a good night. God bless.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
All right, Bree. So that was a lot of amazing information that Broderick gave us. What are your takeaways from what he said?
I think that my takeaways personally is I'm really concerned about the whole nudity. Like I've done it. I've done implied. Like I've done it, but the part that
and you've done it with me,
but the part where if you do it, it'll ruin your career. That's still like
in your head.
Yeah,
why?
In my head only though. Like I don't believe that would ruin your career. But my Pisces mind overthinks sometimes, and I think that so maybe in the future, if I want to work for a bigger brand, they're gonna look back and they're gonna be like, okay, so you were pretty butt naked on this. What was it for? And I'll be like,
I think I appreciate that mindset, but I think in my experience and in my knowledge, it's only going to hurt you if you wanted to become Miss America, right?
Yeah.
But in this day and age, every model, every actor, every singer at this point has done nudity, and we're seeing shows on MTV, Netflix, HBO, where models are full exposed and nude. And it's kind of, normal now. Yeah. And every single nude image that I've seen of you has been tasteful. Yeah. And I know that you have the professional mind to only do things tasteful. Yeah. So I think you should be fine.
That's my goal and everything. But, I just want to make sure because like different, I'll say avenues that I've been down or would say like, well, have you ever done this? Okay, well, we look down upon this but you've honestly, if I've done implieds, you've never seen any of my body parts.
Correct.
Like I do it tastefully, but I still, when I hear things like that, it makes my anxiety flare up. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, so should I not? Should I?
I dig that.
Yeah. But like even Broderick just said, I've seen Naomi. I've seen everybody who are like vets in the game do implieds, so.
Well, Broderick gave us so much great information, and my main takeaway was so much. And one of the things I learned from him is maybe be even more detailed with models. And I already am overly detailed, but I know a few areas that I can probably give a little bit more information to make people a little bit more comfortable. The other side to that is when I do a project, if you have signed on to do the project, once you are in it and once you have done it, I'm not taking it back. We've done that so many times where models will say, hey, I'm uncomfortable now because of my boyfriend. And I'm like, okay, I'll appease you. I'm not doing that no more because Broderick said not to.
You will send a casting that says lingerie show. I'm not understanding where the confusion between lingerie and clothing comes. Lingerie means, baby, you will be showing.
Well, I think what happens is a lot of times people process their own personal thing, right?
Yeah.
Because if lingerie to me could be a t-shirt and boxes, but that's not fashion lingerie.
That's right. Not to me, honey.
But we had a great show today, everybody. I am super excited. Thank you for everybody who tuned in. Next week, I'm pretty sure you guys are familiar with the supermodel Diva Divana. She was the little girl who came up on America's Next Top Model under Tyra Banks. She was coined as Mini Naomi. We are working on getting her and her mother on next week to talk about how to get your kid and your child into the modeling industry. Okay, the week after that, week 3, we're going to work with a few Chicago designers. We want Llewellyn, Amari's Closet Designs, Different Society, Von So on and so forth to come on the show and talk to us. And week 4, send us some suggestions. We want to hear what you have to say. I'm definitely working on getting a financial expert in here to talk about the money of modeling and how to make more of it. But thank you for tuning in to the first episode of The Go See. We will see you next Tuesday, same place, same time, same host, maybe new outfit. Thank y'all. We love you.
All right. Peace out. Williams faded. I turn up the party, yaddy.